At 9:34 p.m., an object was detected heading towards New York City. It was not discovered until it was too late. It hit our atmosphere hard, but we got lucky. Ironheart was already in the sky. She charged the object head-on, changing its course, trying to steer it into the East River. She missed. The object slammed into Roosevelt Island instead. No casualties were reported, at least not from the crash. The object was some sort of vessel, with an alien child as a passenger. S.H.I.E.L.D. has no idea where she came from or who she is, but she was sick. Ironheart could only make out 2 words from the child. Laura Kinney. At 9:47 p.m., the child died in Ironheart's arms. And then whatever the girl had began to spread. Quickly. Tony Stark's AI had Ironheart contact everyone. Broadcasting an emergency beacon, Riri Williams warned all superhero and rescue workers heading to Roosevelt Island to stop, immediately. They need to cut the island off. A virus has landed on Earth, and they have to set up a quarantine. During this time, Laura Kinney and her younger clone Gabby were on a covert mission. Successfully completing the mission, they appreciate their new suits, now bulletproof and considerably less painful than relying on a healing factor, when suddenly, Captain Marvel flies onto the scene. Without any fanfare or discussion, the hero grabs Wolverine and takes off. Laura is briefed on the situation. She has no idea why the alien girl would even know her name, or say it just before dying. Nick Fury informs Laura that Ironheart is not infected, but the virus could be on her suit, so she's staying put on Roosevelt Island. The entire landmass is being closed off, and a very nervous president has already ordered the entire island be scorched. S.H.I.E.L.D. is delaying this order, but there isn't much time. If Wolverine goes to the island, she might never come back. But there are 10,000 people down there. Laura is the only lead they have on the virus, and the only person who might be able to find answers on the ground. She's these people's only hope, so there's no choice to make. Hello and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is my recap and review of All-New Wolverine number 19. So here's a series that I've been eyeing for a while. It looked cool, and all I've heard about this series are good things. I had a free spot on my schedule for the first time in ages, so I got to pick out a comic for myself, and I went with this because I've been really wanting to check it out. And wow, did I really like this thing! It's not much of a surprise. I had pretty high expectations and was not in the least bit disappointed. That expectation and the quality of the comic that met that expectation owe a lot to the writing of none other than Tom Taylor. Lots of you guys should know him from his earlier years, also known as the good ones, of the Injustice comics, and all his strengths and best aspects are on full display in this issue of All-New Wolverine. Taylor is a great writer in general, but one of the best active writers when it comes to 2 things: action, and his ability to weave in various characters into a story that nicely complement each other and work for really good moments and cool parts in the story. That's clear throughout this comic, but the best example of it is in Ironheart. Yes, I finally found a comic I feel uses this character effectively. She ties in well with the ongoing plot of the story arc, Taylor made good use of the Stark AI, and she will no doubt have a very important part of the story going forward, which I'm really excited about, for once. So that's great, but hardly the only thing about this comic that's awesome. Laura's character is cool to begin with, and I like how her characters kind of come full circle. She's basically reached a spot where she's very much like Wolverine. This comic reminded me that she is Logan's clone, and now that she's gotten past all the terrible things that has happened to her, just like Logan had to in his history, she's kind of becoming Wolverine. Just a version that happens to be female. Still, the comic does show subtle differences between her character and Logan, and even bigger differences between this new clone, Gabby. I don't really know what the full story is there, but it's pretty cool just the same. I kind of like her character because she seems to have not gone through all the terrible things that Logan and Laura went through, so she seems a little less tormented and afflicted by all of that stuff, and it makes her character distinct. Also, she's got the bone claws, so that's cool. There's a few other parts of this comic that are really clever, too. Taylor correctly shows that our ability to detect objects heading towards Earth are not as accurate or widespread as one might think. Even in a relatively more guarded version of Earth, it's actually very possible they'd miss stuff like that. Space is really big and we're hurtling through it really fast, right? So it makes sense. I like how this comic acknowledges that horribly disturbing thought, and now you get to think about that too. And while I might point out that it's super unrealistic that any president would really consider firebombing 10,000 American citizens, no matter who's president right now, it's really easy to forget that this is not our Earth. We haven't lived through Skrulls and monsters and symbiotes and what have you, all of which came hurtling down at us from space. And it's actually possible people would be pretty on guard about that stuff, and would actually maybe be open to doing something crazy like this. In our world, something like that is crazy. The very idea is that people would want to burn a whole island is ludicrous, but I don't know. Marvel's world's a little more complicated than ours. It's an interesting point of writing from Taylor. So, overall, with excellent art and a really cool premise for a story, All-New Wolverine is well put together and totally worth checking out for yourself. So this is the series that everyone's been raving about for months. I get it now. This is really cool, really awesome, a lot of fun. I totally understand why people like this comic so much, and I've been talking about it so much. It's great. I'll see what you guys think in the comments section, and we'll gauge things from there, like I always do, but personally I'd love to keep going with this series. So let me know what you think, and thanks for watching. Comic Island is made possible by our patrons and viewers like you, so we always appreciate everyone's support. Stay tuned for my next review. It's going to be a nice, shiny, golden review of sorts. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep reading comics.